Hey guys, let's answer some questions. First question is, what does it mean to be an indie author? Indie author is one of those titles that only exists because people like me use it. It's somewhat made up, and just like author, I guess, in a certain way, it's something that's very subjective based on who you talk to. You are an author as soon as you call yourself an author. You are an indie author as soon as you call yourself an indie author. That said, the reason that I use it, and a lot of other people use it, is to represent the fact that we write books, but we are not publishing through a major publisher. So if we were publishing through somebody like a Big Five, like Penguin or Hachette, then we probably wouldn't say indie because we would be working within the establishment. So it wouldn't be independent, you would be just author. An independent author is somebody who either publishes by themselves or publishes with an independent label, an independent publisher. I publish through Asymmetrical Press, which is the publishing company that I co-founded, and as a result, I consider myself an independent author. I have far more control over my work. I have a lot of creative freedom. I get to do whatever cover I want. I don't have anybody trimming my book so that it fits within a certain size so that they can take it and put whatever cover they want on it so they can put it up in Barnes & Noble somewhere. I have complete and absolute creative control over my work and over the way it's marketed and over the way it's sold and over the pricing and everything else. And so to me, being an independent author, being an indie author, is kind of like being an indie musician before that term was appropriated. Being an indie musician back in the 90s and early 2000s, where it actually meant being independent and not part of a major label. That to me is what it's about. It's having more freedom, having more creative control. It's about being integrally involved with every part of the process, and it's about being able to maneuver and change direction and try new things much more ably than somebody who has a great big machine and a great big bureaucracy involved with the publishing of their work. I don't think that it's inherently any better or worse to be indie or to be a regular author. I think there's pros and cons to both, but if you're anything like me and you like to do a lot of extra work, you don't want to just write a book and then hand it off to somebody else. I'm not saying that being an author with a Big Five is easy, because there's a hell of a lot of work involved and it's incredibly difficult. But if you want to be involved with the entire process and have a whole lot of creative control, and you do not mind doing everything yourself, then the indie author route might be more for you. Whereas if you want something that's more of a traditional type of deal, a traditional contract where you give up possession of your work, but in return you typically get an advance and you get a bigger marketing machine behind you, things like that, then you might want to be a more traditional author. Either way, produce great work and you will be fine. The label is relatively irrelevant. Are you religious or spiritual? No. The short answer is no. I was brought up Catholic, but it's something that I kind of left behind in my mid-teens, and I would consider myself probably an atheist. Some people would consider my beliefs more agnostic. I am a scientific person. I believe in the empirical scientific process, which essentially means that we go off and explore, but then we use a process to figure out how to understand things. And this process allows us to test it and say, if I do this, this will happen. And to me, I believe in that. That's something that doesn't require any faith to believe in. It's something that we've been able to do over and over and test. And as a result, we're able to be insanely curious about the universe and just wonder what's out there and speculate endlessly, knowing that we eventually have a way to say for certain, and that we can eventually collect enough data and do enough tests that we can understand the universe. And to me, that is what my worldview and philosophies are all predicated on. The idea that the universe is immense and amazing, and there's so much that we don't understand, and that we won't understand for a very long time. But I think we can understand it. I think we can know it. And so the idea of faith or believing in things, a lot of spirituality involves believing in things that we don't have evidence to believe in, or that we actually have evidence against. And that's totally legitimate for people who want to believe that, if that's what makes you happy, if that suits your worldview, if you don't require as much concrete evidence as I do, and that's what does it for you, that's awesome. I am so glad that you found something that works for you. We are all, I think, looking for the truth. We're all looking for our truths, and we all interpret the data that we're given by the world in different ways. For me, I like to have something that is eventually testable, and I like to have things that are concrete, and I like to have things that don't require faith. For other people, it's different, and I salute you if that's what works for you and you found it and it makes you happy. That is awesome. But for me, it's not the case. I am not religious or spiritual. If you have a question you'd like me to answer in a future video, you can leave it in the comment section below. You can also give a thumbs up like if you enjoyed this video, or subscribe to my channel if you'd like. You can find me elsewhere on the internet at Colin is my name. That's Snapchat and Twitter and Tumblr and Instagram and kind of all over the place. And if you want to find out more about me and my work, including my books, you can go to colin.io.